From trillion-sheckle crops to pets that only worked for a few minutes, here are 32 Grow a Garden event facts that quietly changed how the game works. This pet rides a bike. This seed costs more than anything else in the game, and this reward only existed for half an hour before it was fixed. 1. This event introduces more pets that ride something, including the bear on bike and the unicycle monkey. Over time, Grow a Garden pets have slowly shifted from being simple companions to more animated, character-driven entities. Pets that ride something feel more expressive. They move differently, occupy more visual space, and instantly stand out in a garden. This riding theme also creates a subtle connection between otherwise unrelated pets, giving them a shared identity within the game's world. 2. Another pet that rides something is the Headless Horseman from the Halloween event, who rides a horse. The Headless Horseman feels like the original blueprint for this idea. Its design is rooted in folklore, where the act of riding isn't just visual, it's part of the character's identity. Seeing this concept reappear in later events suggests the developers are leaning more into storytelling through pet movement rather than just abilities. 3. The bear on bike is the only pet in the game that gives the whimsical mutation. Being the only source of a mutation immediately gives this pet long-term importance. Mutations tend to feel like personality traits rather than raw stat boosts, and whimsical fits the bear on bike perfectly. It's a quiet example of how design, animation, and mechanics are starting to align more closely. 4. The bear on bike is one of the 5 bears currently in the game. Bears have slowly become a recurring pet archetype in Grow a Garden. Each one fills a slightly different role, making the bear on bike feel like part of a broader collection rather than a one-off addition. This kind of repetition helps the game feel cohesive instead of random. 5. In the game's thumbnail, Bonanza Bloom was modeled to form the number 67, referencing the annoying internet meme. This is one of those details that is clearly for Roblox players. Games often don't make meme references in promotional material rather than gameplay itself, turning thumbnails into a kind of inside joke. Although there is one other mobile game that comes to mind, and that is Clash Royale, which has a 67 emote. Now, while 67 is a bloody annoying brain rot, it is obviously on brand with modern internet culture. 6. Bonanza Bloom shares the title of the most expensive seed in the game alongside Firework Fern at 1 trillion shekels. Reaching the trillion-sheckle mark feels symbolic. It represents the absolute ceiling of the game's economy, the point where numbers stop feeling practical and start feeling legendary. When a seed costs this much, it's no longer just a crop, it's a status symbol. 7. Bonanza Bloom has the same base value as Octobloom, despite having a much higher restock chance. This creates an interesting imbalance between rarity and reward. Normally, harder to find items justify higher values, but here, accessibility doesn't reduce importance. It shows that base value isn't always tied directly to scarcity. 8. Star Wolf is the divine pet with the highest hatch rate. It has an 8.75% chance of hatching from the New Year's egg. Divine pets are usually associated with extreme rarity, so seeing one with a relatively high hatch rate is unexpected. It makes Star Wolf feel like an entry-level divine. Still special, but more approachable. This design choice likely helps more players interact with high-tier pet mechanics. 9. Star Wolf is also the first reskin of the wolf pet. Reskins often signal that a design has become iconic enough to reuse. Instead of replacing the original wolf, Star Wolf builds on it, preserving familiarity while adding a cosmic twist. This is common in long-running games where certain designs become foundational. 10. Carrot coins are the first currency based directly on an actual vegetable crop from the seed shop. Most in-game currencies feel abstract, but carrot coins tie value directly to farming. It's a pretty nice loop. Grow crops, and then earn a currency inspired by crops. This grounds the economy more firmly in the core gameplay. 11. The Fireworks Spirit's ability mirrors Snowman Soldier, but produces fireworks instead of snowballs. This kind of parallel design makes abilities easier to understand intuitively. Players familiar with Snowman Soldier instantly know what to expect, just with a celebratory twist. It's reuse done thoughtfully rather than lazily. 12. Sparkle Slice is the second divine crop with an ability following the golden egg. Divine crops having abilities feels like a natural progression. Golden Egg set the precedent, and Sparkle Slice reinforces the idea that the highest tiers should do more than just sell for value. Abilities give Divine Crops identity beyond price tags. 13. Sparkle Slice first appeared in the shop at 12:20 p.m. IST. Specific timestamps like this often become trivia points in player communities. They mark exact moments when rare items entered circulation, turning restocks into historical events rather than routine mechanics. 14. Sparkle Slice has multiple color variants, including pink, purple, teal, green, and blue. Color variants don't change gameplay, but they massively affect emotional appeal. They allow players to attach preference and personality to what would otherwise be identical crops. This is cosmetic variety doing real work. 15. The Rainbow Sack is the only seed pack obtainable from another seed pack. This nested reward structure makes the Rainbow Sack feel like a prize within a prize. It adds an extra layer of anticipation, opening something that exists inside another system. 16. It is also the only seed pack without a physical in-game model. Instead of appearing in the world, it jumps straight into an opening animation. This breaks expectation and makes the moment feel more ceremonial, like triggering a cutscene rather than receiving an item. 17. The Rainbow Sack is one of only 2 normal ways to obtain rainbow plants. The other method involves purchasing a super seed from the Forever Pack. Limiting access this way preserves the rarity and visual impact of rainbow crops. They stay special because they're controlled. 18. Exotic Seed Pack and Night Seed Pack are the only seed packs that cannot contain a rainbow sack. This exclusion quietly defines boundaries between seed pack types. It ensures that certain aesthetics remain tied to specific systems rather than bleeding into everything. 19. The Show Pony's ability mirrors the Red Panda, allowing it to restock items. Restock abilities feel powerful because they influence the game's economy directly. By sharing this mechanic, Show Pony joins a small group of pets that affect availability rather than output. 20. The Show Pony's ability cannot currently be mimicked by Ruby Squid, whether intentional or a bug. Even though the game says the ability is being copied, it didn't activate. These inconsistencies often become talking points, blurring the line between bugs and hidden rules. They add a layer of mystery to otherwise clear mechanics. 21. Firework Fern was one of the first seeds to cost 1 trillion shekels, alongside Slay and Bonanza Bloom. This pricing tier feels reserved for items meant to define an era of the game. It's not about practicality, it's about signaling importance. 22. On December 30th, 2025, Firework Fern stocked 3 times in one day. This has never happened with any other limited transcendent. Moments like this feel almost legendary because they break established patterns. 23. On January 3rd, 2026, Firework Fern restocked twice due to admin abuse, one time accidentally. This incident highlights how human involvement can momentarily override automated systems. It's a rare glimpse behind the curtain of how events are actually managed. 24. Firework Fern is the 13th transcendent crop in the game. By this point, transcendents are no longer novelties. They're a structured tier. Each new addition strengthens the identity of that tier rather than redefining it. 25. ColourPop Crop is the second prismatic crop with an ability, following Severed Spine. This continues a trend where higher rarity increasingly means deeper mechanics. Prismatic crops are no longer just visual flexes, they do things. 27. This makes ColourPop the only countdown-based crop that isn't a blossom. That distinction sets it apart structurally. It borrows a system usually reserved for blossoms and applies it elsewhere, quietly expanding design rules. 28. Despite costing the same in shekels, the New Year's firework costs far less Robux than the normal firework. This pricing contrast shows how Robux values aren't always tied directly to in-game currency. It highlights how monetization layers operate independently. 29. For the first 34 minutes of the update, Dragon's firework was claimable multiple times. Short-lived exploits like this often become legendary. Only players online at exactly the right moment ever experienced it. 30. All gears, seeds, and eggs apparently have equal stock chances. On paper, this sounds fair. In practice, it creates strange edge cases where unavailable items technically still roll. 31. This includes Reindeer Root and Spirit Sparkle, even though they are no longer purchasable. These phantom restocks don't affect gameplay, but they reveal how the backend system treats items uniformly. It's an interesting look at how rules persist even when content rotates out. 32. All pets in the New Year's Egg display a hatch time of 30 seconds. Whether intentional or not, this uniformity feels strange. Hatch times usually vary, so seeing them all identical raises questions about how egg data is handled behind the scenes. And that's some of the things inside the recent Grow a Garden events in 2026. Some of these details were easy to miss, others only existed briefly, but together they show how much the game has quietly evolved.
If you enjoyed this kind of calm, detailed breakdown, there's plenty more like it coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.